our special moment, indeed. Hands together, show your love, show your right. Woo! Woo! And it's smoky up here, too. Ladies and gentlemen, we are particularly pleased that you are here with us today. You know, COVID has taken its toll on travel and tourism, etc. So we're especially honored that you are healthy and have made the journey to be with us today. Now, my name is Howard Dell, like Dell Computers, unfortunately not related. And I will be your MC for today. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, esteemed colleagues and honored guests, welcome to Edain, a global knowledge revolution. Let me say that again, a global knowledge revolution. We have some great speakers here today, really, really great speakers. And I want your takeaway from that. Your takeaway after our speakers are done, I hope you leave here with the knowledge of their passion, their dedication, their commitment to their project. Because they took a dream that was and turned it into a project and a product that is. A dream that was into something substantial and real. Now, talking about dreams, we have this moniker in the motivational speaking community called, and it says, if you can dream it, you can achieve it. The dream is free, but the hustle is sold separately. And how do we define the hustle? Research, dedication, hard work, long hours at the office. This is the hard work that you don't see. So with that dream, once again, they took a dream that was and turned it into a project and a product that is. So at this particular time, I get the opportunity to introduce our very first speaker. And I know he's around here somewhere. Ladies and gentlemen, let me bring to the stage Dr. Heiner Pollard. Where are you? Oh, here we come. Where's he coming from? I know he's around here somewhere. There we go. CEO, co-founder of Prisma Analytics. Come on up here, Heiner. Indeed. Good to see you, my friend. Once more time, guys. Dr. Heiner Pollard, give him a round, show some love.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon. Yeah, we are very glad to have you all here with us in that great emirate of Dubai, where the Emiratis dream to transform their country into a modern technological marvel. A special welcome to Sheikh Nasser Salim, our new business partner in Patentpool Group, who will help us to spread the message of our work throughout the world. Today's world very much reflects what we are seeking to achieve with Edain. In fact, it's our endeavor to help them and every other country, every other city or community, and any individual to become the juggernauts, you know, these juggernauts of their own disciplines and interests they might wish. Thus, the Edain project has shared values with this amazing country, and it's the reason why we are here with all of you this weekend in Dubai. My name is Heiner Pollard, and I'm the chairman of Prisma Analytics. I set out more than 4 decades ago to help people with big dreams to pursue those dreams. And over the course of my career, I've been involved in lots of things, from feature film productions to a whole variety of promising technologies, startups, and early-stage companies that had the courage to try new things or improve existing ones. Many of those have had disruptive potential, and many have gone on to become very successful organizations and products. And I have been blessed to have established some incredible friendships with many of those with whom I have worked. but none of the projects over the course of my professional career have had the transformative potential as the Edain technology and the SDG knowledge vault. With Edain and our partners at CryptoData, we have the potential to impact the human collective intelligence on Earth, and we know it is now achievable. With Edain, we can truly make a meaningful impact on the reduction of the global knowledge gap. Something that must happen if we are ever to live peacefully as one society. We have been able to assemble an amazing team of innovators and strategic partners, and it is clear to us that we have the technical and technological capabilities to not only capture a large proportion of the world's publicly available data, but to also process it in a way that it can be used by any human to make better decisions. So we talk today about our journey with Edain and its knowledge ecosystem designed within it. And we're on our stage 1 journey, of which the central part is to tell our story and build our community. And I can say, as I stand here in front of you, that as much as we are teaching the world about Edain and the knowledge vault, we are also learning from our community as it develops. We have made mistakes, and you have let us know. Thank you. But without your input and your guidance, we could not grow. We could not evolve Edain to become what we intend. We have committed a significant amount of resources to build and engage our community. We said 2 months ago during our launch that the one promise we made was that we would stay connected with our community and keep everyone informed every step of the way through our journey, and I think we've done a pretty good job. A big task with a community that spans the world and is now more than 50,000 people, that is growing more and more actively every week. So, our road ahead to the end of our pre-sale period is to continue growing our community, listening to feedback and learning from you. At the same time, we continue building software, both the first of our knowledge applications and also the scaling of our core big data analytics engine powered by our C+8 technology. All of you here today represent a critical part of our community, as most of you here are active in helping us tell our story and to help ensure that people from all over the world have their Edain license keys available to use when we deliver the first of our knowledge applications to the market on March 30th of next year. As our coming together here in Dubai this weekend is as much to bring together Edain ambassadors and to extend our thanks to all of you for the effort you invest and the trust you put in us. I say thank you very much. Thank you. Spasiba. Arigata gozaimasu. Merci and gracias. You are all helping us, the Prism Analytics and CryptoData team, to pursue a dream that is perhaps bigger than anything before. Please realize the importance of your role here. Where we succeed, we are all part of a legacy that will leave us its permanent print on human history, as we can all say that we together did that. Thank you for believing. But before I depart, I would like to take a moment to introduce you our next speaker. This is the man that made all of this possible. With his vision, with his real desire to make a difference and to improve the world we live in. 22 years ago, we both founded the Ravenpack AG in Munich. In the beginning, a revolutionary concept of how to digest big data. Today, worldwide #1 in sentiment analysis for the financial industry. That's how it started 22 years ago. And I'm very confident that the tree that we plant with Edain today will become a wonderful worldwide forest in another couple of years. Please help me in welcoming my very dear friend, Dr. Hardy Schlör.
Hello. So, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is a real pleasure to see you all here today. And it is a pleasure to me to be able to share with you today something that is extremely important, not just to me, but to everybody. I also apologize that I sit down. So I may look a little old and frail to you, but trust me, my ideas and my technologies, they are powerful, young, and transformative. So don't be deceived by the picture you see of me. Thank you. It is really important to understand that we are at the juncture of something incredibly important in this world. On the one side, we have emerged from an era of early technologization of this world. The industrialization of this world, which started sometimes in the mid-1800s, early 1800s, has brought us to this point here today, where technologies have become a runaway train. But it has actually increased the gap of knowledge that we have to understand the world in which we live in today. So many people think that I'm a technologist. I am not. I'm a scientist that is specialized in finding solutions to big global problems. And I use technology to solve them, just like I did 22 years ago when I developed together with Dr. Heiner Pollard the first complete solution in cloud computing. So today, to go back to my original message here, today we are dealing with something that is far bigger than trying to figure out how we communicate, because cloud computing, all of that, what we did in the last, let's say, 25 years, ever since the dot-com era started, is about communication. It is about harvesting data. But what do we do with that data? About 300-400 years ago, people were much smarter because they knew a lot more of all there is to know than today. In fact, today, the amount of all we do know about of all we should be knowing is shrinking to a tiny, tiny spot. And that does not benefit us. That does not benefit this world. So we had to come up with some idea in how to turn knowledge into a utility. And when I say utility, look, you know how to turn on water. You turn on the faucet, you expect water coming out, and normally it does. You turn on the light switch and there's electricity. You turn on the oven and there is gas and there's fire. What about knowledge? Knowledge is more important than water, gas, and fire, and whatever other utilities you can think of. Knowledge is the center of our life. It is how we can live together and collaborate in peace on this planet, because in the end, that is what we really want. So now I would like to introduce to you my solution that actually solves the problem. And that solution called the Knowledge Vault. And what that is, let's talk about that. One of the wonderful things is, and I will, on the end of my talk, introduce a very important person, Mr. Roland Schatz from the United Nations, which actually has given the Knowledge Vault, which is the heart piece of the Edain ecology, knowledge ecology. It's the heart piece because it is the place where all that information that we are now going to accumulate is going to reside. And I sat down with my partner, Dr. Heiner Pollert, and we thought about this very deeply. Should all of this knowledge that we are creating, all of this information that we are creating, should that be in the hands of a private entity? And the answer is clearly no. Because knowledge belongs to the whole world. So we found a wonderful home for our Knowledge Vault, which is the United Nations, and which is in fact a unit which deals with the 17 sustainability goals of the United Nations. And there, the Knowledge Vault will from now on exist and will be operated. And Edain will be the access system to the Knowledge Vault. There's a lot of text here, and it is really something that you should read. I don't want to read it to you, you can read it by yourself. But the Knowledge Vault is going to attempt, not all on one day, but over many days, weeks, months, years to come, to accumulate absolutely every piece of information that is available on this planet in any kind of science paper, publication, record, measurement, image, video, or any digital media that exists or will exist in the future that holds information. And we will give those that wants to get paid for their information the opportunity to do so inside the Knowledge Vault. Because Edain has created an absolutely fantastic system that actually allows, through a smart contract, automatically any piece of information to be charged in accordance to the owner of, or the original owner of the information. So nobody should have any reason not to put the knowledge or the information or the records into the Knowledge Vault. So therefore, it is neutral because it is under the cloak of the United Nations. And two, you can, as a private person or as a private company that supplies any kind of information, you can get paid for it. So this is a very, very powerful thing, very powerful combination. All the access, obviously, done through our C+8 technology. How is the knowledge world creating knowledge? Well, it's very simple. By the way, I'm the world's worst designer of PowerPoint slides, so please don't judge me on that, but I think you understand that it's quite simple. Raw data in, anything, whatever it is, books, news, measurements, anything, documents, whatever, and we bring it out. Either you get it as an original record. For example, you're looking for a particular science publication, you're looking for a particular measurement, you're looking for a particular thing. We will absolutely index it and source it. Why do we source it? It's very important. Because in our knowledge world, you will not just find good knowledge or good information. You will also find information that comes from conspiracy websites, that comes from disinformation, misinformation. We have it all. Why should we filter out only what we believe is good for you or correct for you? No, let the information expose itself. By continuously fact-checking all the information that is in the knowledge world, you will be able to access actually information that we already know is disinformation, misinformation. This will actually help you to understand where conspiracy theories are born, where dis and misinformation is born, where all of these things coming from. Okay, so when we go to the output of the information, then we have basically 5 different ways to do it. One, you get the direct documents, or we give you a quantitative information. And what that means, everybody knows, and they will show it to you later on some of the slides. That is learning quantitatively about a particular thing, or a qualitative information, or an associative information. That is, how do the dots connect? How do persons connect with organizations, with events, with geographies, with concepts, with technologies, and so on? And you learn a lot about that. And then, of course, composite knowledge, where we give you applications in which we bring together all of these elements in dashboards. And more about that you will learn later in these presentations. Knowledge creation on demand. It is very important to understand how knowledge actually is created. It's not created actually by us. All we do is we analyze data and we organize data in a system that allows us to understand and access everything on a global base. But the knowledge actually is created by the user asking very specific questions. And we will give him tools to be able to do so. So the interaction with the knowledge world is what actually creates the knowledge. And the beautiful thing about that is that through the Edain system, every man, woman, and child on this planet can come to the knowledge world. All he needs is some Edain license key. He spends that at the interception when he chooses a application, and he can use it one time, or every day, or every week, or once in his life. It doesn't matter. But there will be no long subscriptions, there will be no difficult software to learn and to buy, It will be very easy made for everyone to just come up to the Knowledge Vault, choose an application, make a micropayment, get the information, get the analysis, and there will be very sophisticated analytical documents. So how is the Knowledge Vault organized? Very simple. We have the Knowledge Vault under the UN system. We, through the UN, are connected to 1,300 universities around the world. And these are the top universities, so everyone is included. From Stanford to Harvard to Yale to MIT to, all these universities around the world. And they are going to work with us to fill all the verticals inside the Knowledge Vault. Then we have the Edain license key system, which actually produces the apps, produces the whole access system, the smart contract system, to just show up at the Knowledge Vault as a client and access. And of course, Prisma Analytics, which is the developer of the C+8 software that has made it possible to create the Knowledge Vault at the first place, is served with their licenses. So here are the 10 main verticals that the Knowledge Vault holds. And if you look here for a moment, you will see that there is absolutely everything represented, from global finance to technology and innovation to biology, medical research, healthcare, pharmacy, global trade, supply lines, products, logistics, and so on, to global life ecology, biodiversity, food, water, soil, and so on, global security, conflict, peace, geopolitics, and then we go to education, and we go on to urban development, and finally globalization. All of these are fully represented, and we will interact with these 1,300 universities to bring in the data. So what kind of data will there be in the Knowledge Vault? Well, for starters, we will have absolutely every document that was ever circulated inside the United Nations since 1946. It will be in the Knowledge Vault. There will be everything, almost everything that is on information today in the World Bank. There will be juicy data, for example, the entire ecologic and climate change database, which is the largest in the world, will be in there. And I could go on and on and on and on. We will precede the Knowledge Vault before March 30th with so much powerful information that at the start, it will be already one of the largest depositories of information in the world. So now we talked about this C+8 data standard. Let me fly through the next slides in rapid speed just to touch on that. And if anyone has questions, I'm available later on today to answer questions for those that have deeper technological interest in these things. So first of all, the C+8 technology is a system that is completely self-organizing, that takes information without any operator bias and places it in an environment where it represents exactly the way it was harvested from the environment. So if you read this slide very carefully, it actually gives you the exact information of what the whole ontology behind C+8 is. And here is something really important, because this is how our brain works. Our brain uses causality as the centerpiece of knowledge, as an understanding of. So, for example, when you remember a event, when you were 5 years old, you don't remember linearly every day that when you were 5 years old. You remember when you fell off the bicycle and busted your knee, and you remember when you dropped grandmother's favorite bowl and she broke in 1,000 pieces, and grandmother was very, very upset. That is how things behaved, how things evolved. So what we really do is we understand information entropy, and information entropy is best explained through causality. And then there is these 8 cardinal experiences that our brain has, which are persons, groups, geography, events, time, technology, concepts, and other objects. And believe it or not, everything we know and everything we can think and everything that we experience is represented through this. And then, of course, the extended view, how we implement functions and properties. So, for example, we remember the tall man with the red hair that ran across the room. Okay, we remember tall, we remember that he had red hair. These are properties that are standing out. We don't remember what his social security number is, his phone number, what his address is. We don't care about those things. We care about how things behave. And we care about that in every instance, okay? And then we built these things, they're called data fusion objects, in which we can summons and assemble absolutely every piece of knowledge by its sequentiality, by its history, by its behavior, and by the instances in which something occurred. It's a little abstract, but in any case, it's not so complicated. Once we begin to understand things in that way, then we can also measure them repeatedly, and we can measure them over great data sets. And then what we end up with is what we call time series. Measurements over time, and also measurements in how they are occurring statistically with respect to qualities and quantities within this quantity. And then what we do is we build something that is called the cube. And you will see here very quickly, this is this multidimensional mathematical vehicle, and we begin to generalize things and understand them in that way. And then very quickly we can load these cubes, we can overlay them with events, and then we can use AI machine learning to find stochastic signals inside the data. And it does all of that completely generalized automatically and on everything and everything. So that way the knowledge world will run day and night to constantly evaluate itself with respect to the most common asked questions and have the answers already ahead of time. So here then we have the output in various applications and how we deliver them. Here is some examples. For example, this is Elon Musk this last month. And then we can look at him here also qualitatively. And then we add another one. Here is Jeff Bezos. Very interesting here. Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos. This is the digital signal over a month of these two people that they have left in the media. And there is this one spike where they are both appear. Very interesting. What is this all about? Here we go. The Pandora Papers. Something that is a completely new emerging thing. Now I'm interested in what are the Pandora Papers? That must be some event. Well, here is the digital DNA of that event. You see how I can very quickly and of course I can click on each of these spikes and I get all the underlying information that is in the knowledge vault that shows me what these things are all about and where they came from. Here, for example, you see how we can show you an associative picture of something. And here we can show you, when you can click on each and every one of these lines, these little yellow ones, these are the causations that are traveling between all of these objects, which are people, which are events, technologies, organizations, and so on. And it gives you this 3D picture in how actually the information sticks together from an associative point of view. The same we can do geographically. And the same we can do by taking any subject and have all the information there is abbreviated down to one sentence and then filter it by sources. So we can say, well, give me only the most credible sources, or give me the worst sources. Give me the ones that are most unreliable to see what they say about something and what those that actually are meaningful say about the subject. See, that's where we make real difference in knowledge. Here we can, for example, measure all kinds of other things that are with respect to language. And Mr. Schatz, which will speak after me, will have a few things to say about that are quite interesting. Then we have, of course, these composite dashboards that we will make available for organizations, for governments, all through the same system, through the same knowledge system. So the housewife can come and look at something, and so can the Minister for Information. It comes out all of the same knowledge vault, it comes out of all of the same pool of information, and it comes in general from all the same tools. So thank you for being so kind and patient to go to the most boring part of the presentation, which is about C+8 technology. But I would like to now invite the next speaker on stage, Mr. Roland Schatz. Mr. Schatz is the gentleman who actually gave us, or the Knowledge Vault, a home within the cloak of the United Nations. Mr. Schatz used to be the advisor of Helmut Kohl and Angela Merkel. Mr. Schatz also proposed the 17 development goals to the United Nations, which is the only time that something was adopted by the United Nations absolutely unanimously. So Mr. Schatz is operating the foundation. Here we go. Thank you very much.
Hello. Thank you for having me. And maybe I'm not the only one who might have 2 or 3 additional questions, because when I went to school, I ended up with 1 point out of 15 when it came to mathematics, when it came to physics. So if somebody talks to me about quantum physics, I need an extra intro to this. But the reason why I came here is exactly what Dr. Pollard said at the beginning. It's about not only having dreams, but it's about making dreams come true in a trustable way. So let me start by reminding you what happened last week. And I'm so grateful having 2 of the most relevant countries here in this room, Oman on one hand and UAE on the other hand, because 50 years ago, what happened 50 years ago? 50 years ago, the world found out, and the people living here, they started to learn that they are sitting on an asset which is simply gigantically. We found out Dubai, Abu Dhabi, Sharjah, the Emirates, and oil, that's going to become a huge love affair. And when they found out, guess what happened? Not the Germans took an airplane flying to the Emirates, not the UK guys or the French or the Americans. Who came? The Japanese. And the Japanese met with your rulers, eye to eye, and they handed over a check. And the Japanese promised to the ruler of the Emirates that Japan would buy 40% of every barrel of oil coming out of the ground. And guess what? He offered the ruler that he would define the price for these 40%. The Japanese said, we will buy these 40% forever, and we will never define the price. You define the price. And this became the beginning not only of a dream, it became the fundament of the reality we are living in. Building a partnership, eye in eye, which is nothing else than SDG 17. Forming partnerships which are built on trust because we are able to rely on each other. I hope the guys, here we go. So, you all remember when the rocket landed on Mars, right? That was another dream. We should land not only a satellite, we should reach Mars to find out what is actually happening on Mars. It took a lot to make this dream come true. Especially, it needed guys like Dr. Pollard, like Hardy, like Adela, the best of the best in regards to IT, programming, software. The software which brought the rocket down on Mars has a name, Sherlock. We all know Sherlock Holmes, right? The name, why they decided to give this name to this software was because they said, this is the first time that software can even learn from each other. Beforehand, we had already these great computers playing chess called Watson, pretending we can be better than mankind. But what was missing was this interaction. Now, Sherlock was able to do this. And as everything in life, when Americans spend $4 billion on something, after a while it was used by the guys from Pentagon, then they said, oh, let's share it with the world. So they opened up the usage of this software for something which was meant to become a text recognition. So your friends in your neighborhood, Saudi Arabia, who is always aware of their reputation, they built a system on this software, Sherlock, trying to understand whether the reputation of Saudi Arabia is going up in times where they felt it's going down. And once it was ready, they invited me to come to the presentation. It took me 30 seconds to find out Sherlock in this software isn't good enough. Why? Because if you just scroll what is out there in information and you don't do the nitty-gritty details like Adela will explain to you what Prisma is doing, if they are not as driven as Hardy is and Dr. Pollard, you end up with a result, which I can share with you. The software was telling them the image of Saudi Arabia is going up like a rocket. 30 seconds to see what quality of this rocket was. Yes, they were right. There were headlines because in this month, the Saudis announced that female driving licenses are now a reality. Women are allowed to drive, and everybody who's here on the roads in Dubai knows what this means, if they would know how to drive. So this was a great step forward. But as we all know, life is not just about headlines. So here was the headline, women allowed to drive in Saudi Arabia. How great is this? And then already came the next 10 lines. And in the next 10 lines you would read, but that is not making a difference for the female citizens in Saudi Arabia. They are still not allowed to do A, B, C, D, E. So the whole reason for this positive story ended up with 10 negative reminders what still needs to be done. So number one, if you want to do really smart text recognition, if you want to get smart information of what is relevant and what is not relevant, you need to understand what is really meant in all these texts. Number two, for people between Washington and LA, this sometimes hurts. But there is life on this planet which is not using English language. All these texts showing the wonderful uprise for Saudi Arabia were all English texts. There was no Arabic text, there was no French text, there was no German text, there was no Japanese text, etc., etc., etc. So if we don't go into the details, again, nothing will work. And last but not least, it's all about the sourcing, right? You need to get the full picture, as Hardy just explained. That is the reason why I'm here. That's the reason why I'm not at Sherlock and all the other places. This is why I came, because the Knowledge Vault, for the first time ever, has a fair chance to capture the best of both worlds. Science, honest science, as well as us, the human beings, who are sometimes not as smart as Dr. Pollard and Hardy, where we have difficulties getting all the details about quantum physics and all the other things. Does this work? Not really. Good. Here we go. If I would ask you, do you believe that you can insure yourself against media damage? Against guys like me, I'm a fifth-generation journalist. You would say, what did he smoke? You know, you can't insure yourself against BBC or TF1 or the likes of New York Times. Well, 10 years ago already, Allianz Insurance is offering something which is called Reputation Protect. Yes, you can. You can insure yourself against media damage. Why? Because there is now text recognition done in a smart way where we understand exactly the trends and the ingredients of a negative narrative as well as a positive narrative. It's nothing else than doing spaghetti bolognese. You need some pasta, you need some tomatoes, you need some beef, you need some other ingredients, and voila, you do spaghetti bolognese. Reputation management is nothing else than doing spaghetti bolognese. But you need to be sure that you have pasta, tomato, and beef. Too many people in this world try to skip that aspect. They say, well, beef is overestimated, we don't need that. Or who cares about tomatoes? That still might be very delicious spaghetti, but it's not spaghetti bolognese. So if we want to build a knowledge vault, we need to have a clear understanding, what is it what we are talking about? What are the ingredients? And we need the same fairness what the Japanese and the UAE people live since 50 years, eye to eye, to remind us day by day, are each of the partners who contribute to the knowledge vault, are they really delivering what they are promising? And in case they don't deliver, no problem. We can try it a second time, a third time. What is important is the honesty in the exchange among each other. Within the UNGSI Foundation, when we started, we built on this research. I'm one of the few who gets paid by Harvard. because the data we provide are unique. Because when the 17 SDGs and the 169 targets were defined, we needed to understand exactly whether the world would this time jump on implementation. And not like when Kofi Annan announced the Millennium Development Goals, would stay sitting on a fence waiting for others to start moving. We don't have that time. So what did we build? We built on these data for the top 500 companies in the world, all stock listed. We built a database explaining exactly how is the chairman, how is the CEO, how is the CFO in the legal binding document, not in their PR material, but when they file their annual report to the SEC, how do they explain what they did and what they want to do? And based on these data, we can then see which of the 17 SDGs are already understood by the leading 500 companies. Where are they rather quiet? Where do they still think cherry picking is okay? And the moment you have these data, what did we do? Because we need to have both legs in reality. One is science, but you need to give it as well into the world of business. So I gave this data to the president, the former president of NASDAQ, and the guy who managed the UN pension fund. With 70 billion US, it's not a small amount he's managing since 20, 30 years. And they were allowed to only invest out of these 500 stock-listed largest companies in the world in those which were dedicated, committed to one or more of the SDGs. And depending on your interest, you can now pick the stocks where you'd like to be invested in. Is it decent work? Is it water? Is it gender equality? Is it education? Whatever it is. If you feel like being invested in regions, you can do accordingly. And guess what? We are now proud to announce next month at the World Economic Forum in Davos that the cumulative return of being invested in the SDGs is 65%. The MSCI World in the same period only managed 64. The connection with the carbon footprint is amazing because the MSCI World is not giving that much on carbon, etc. We do. So while not being invested in Apple, Facebook, Google, because they are not committed to the SDGs so far, we still outperform the MSCI World. So what do you need? If I ask you and if we listen to each other, what you really need is a regular platform where the likes of you, the likes of Adela, Hardy, Dr. Polite, Sebastian, where they get to meet not only the 50,000 who are already committed to Edain, but the rest of the world. Because we need to fast track, we need to get a bit speedier on implementation when it comes to the SDGs. So we can offer these platforms, but we can do more. We can categorize each of the documents of the know-how you put into the knowledge vault according to the 17 SDGs and the 169 targets which are behind the 17 SDGs. And you will then quickly get data which you might have seen already, which you might not have seen. This is how the UAE was presented in BBC and some of the Western TV news, and you could think, oh, this is all nice. Most of it is positive, as you can see here. But then when I ask you, what is the reason for this reporting, you get a little less relaxed. It's all because of sports. And for somebody who is rather regularly in Dubai, yes, I know you have a lot of events on sports, but when I go from places in Dubai, I don't see that many Emiratis already doing sports themselves. But if I would ask you what defines Dubai, we all can agree, knowledge, village, health, all the other things are as important as sports. So what can be done to make sure that when the world knows about the Emirates, when the world knows about Oman, that they get the full picture, not only one slide? Because you need to know the details. If you look at here how the business world is judging on the Emirates, you can see over time the enthusiasm is gone. You need the next story, and the knowledge world can contribute to that. You can see that those financial analysts who help investors decide where to be invested, that they are not picking all those industries where you made huge development. You can see that some of the companies which are getting visibility, they are the ones who are known. The other ones, where you could have a lot of unicorns, they are still not making the headlines. And most important, as we spoke about oil, you can see that the overall trend, analysts judging on oil, is developing in a direction where you see already minus 30% on average. This is not helping continuing doing projects out of the Emirates. On the other hand, you can see that those who are the key drivers on the perception of gold, that they are still, some are supportive, others are not supportive, so you know whom to talk to in future. 1 month ahead of Davos, are you really able to make your footprint in one of the world's most relevant events, where you meet with friends? The delegation from UAE, the delegation of Oman, the delegation of the GCC is rather big. But the output, in order to let the world know what you try to achieve when you go to Davos, can be improved. The same is true for your regional conferences. These are the webs in Jordan, in the different region. And again, UAE not ranking where you could rank. And why is that the case? Because there's still something what we would call the elephant in the room. The overall perception of Islam in the global media hasn't improved since 9/11. And why? Because those who represent Islam don't make it into the newspapers, into the magazines, into the TV, into the radio shows, online. And unless this hasn't changed, this is something which is always in the back head, as Hardy explained. This is almost like when you fell from your bicycle trying to learn how to ride the bike. It seems 50 years ago, like 9/11 seems to be 50 years ago, but it still stays in the head. And if you are not aware of this, a lot of the effort you try to achieve will not work. So therefore, again, you need the full picture. You need it in an honest way, as Heidi described what the knowledge world can be and should be. But as I said in the beginning, you need as well the human touch. And that is what convinced me with the knowledge world. That it's not just data which will be thrown at you and then take it or leave it. Draw your conclusions from these different bubbles. No, the knowledge world will not let you alone with this. The knowledge world will mentor you. The knowledge world will teach how to use these data. And not only in UAE, but the UAE can become the starting place. Oman can become the starting place. And then teach the rest of the world. And now this region can become what Japan was for UAE 50 years ago. A partner, eye in eye, helping the rest of the world understand what needs to be understood. Because it's not just about data, it's about relevant data, it's about understanding ahead of time what will come, so we can prepare. So we can include everybody in our country as well in the other countries. Sorry, I just wanted to make sure that you're all awake. We have 100 million stars. Not only when we look up there. We have 100 million stars from Morocco to Oman. Young people in the age from 8 to 20 who are hungry for education, who are hungry for knowledge, who are hungry for jobs. And what are we offering to them? We can offer them the knowledge vault in a way of sharing and let people understand what it takes to make the difference. We did it already in different places, so trust me, we are able to make this happen. It's a question on, are you ready or not? I know Hardy is, I know Dr. Pollard is, I know Adela is, I am as well. So let's get this done. I'm here till Tuesday, and I'm very much looking forward to see that we make the first steps before I leave. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Herr Schatz. Brilliant and informative. And that little wake everybody up. Okay. Next up, I have a team. First, we have Dr. Adela Fofu. She is the lead social scientist for Prisma Analytics. And together with her, Andrei Stănescu, our technical solutions architect for crypto data. So, ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, could I get Adela and Andrei to come on up, please? Where are they at? Oh, here we come down. Give me a little. All right, we'll take it on the side. Beautiful. Ladies first, of course.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Hello, Andrei.
Hello, good to have you here. Thank you everyone for joining in. Have you ever asked yourself, why do we take so much time whenever we take important decisions? Think about the important decisions you had to take regarding your finances, your investments, and your family. Decision-making is one of the most important skills in the history of mankind. Good decisions has clearly defined great thinkers, great leaders, great scientists. The right decisions at the right time has brought people to the moon and back. It has built empires. It has shaped evolution, innovation, and general evolution by the society. I think decision-making is important, of course, in this whole context, but why do we take so much time? It's simple, because it shapes our future. Every single decision that you take today has an impact on your lives until the end. You are the sum of all decisions, good and bad, that you've taken so far. I'm not saying that decision-making should take a lot of time. I'm just saying that the right decisions will always be taken by the ones who know the most and the best. The intellect, the human mind, has shown great capability so far. But think about the digital evolution. Just think about the computing power that we all have in our pockets. Remember where we were 10 years ago, and imagine where we'll be 10 years from now. What if we become friends with technology? What if we join forces to hack decision-making and always make sure that the decisions we take are always right? Well, from now on, we can. This is Decision Point. Decision Point is a web application built on the C+A technology, which, of course, has strong AI capabilities for decision makers, analysts, financial advisors. Decision Point offers multiple new indicators of public companies which are listed at the stock exchange, and they offer information about how the companies are perceived by the world. And by knowing that, you have the competitive advantage whenever you decide to invest in a company. I think that is groundbreaking. I think this is a great innovation. Imagine the benefits of knowing what to do whenever you decide to invest in a company. Imagine the value and the benefits on your investment portfolio and on your business life when you take better decisions with the help of AI, the social circumflex, and in general sentiment analysis. But about this, I'll let Adila speak. Adila, you have the floor.
Thank you. After all this talk about data, types of data, sources of data, and technology, I think it's a good time to make a little experiment. So please join me in a short game. I will invite all of you to close your eyes for a few seconds and think, try to observe how you feel right now. What is it that you're feeling? You can return slowly to this room. Let's be together again. And here's a question. You don't have to share, so don't be worried. Here's the question. What did you find inside? What was your emotion? How do you feel right now? And I might suspect that maybe you felt a little bit of pressure, like what's with this unannounced task that you have to perform on? Or maybe you felt excited that you can contribute to the dynamic of this event. Or maybe you felt nostalgic, thinking about someone who's not next to you, someone who's maybe at home, and you just realized you missed them. Or maybe you felt curious. Has the neighbor to my left really closed their eyes? I mean, like, really, really? Are they playing the game, or am I just the only one? Well, I will walk you through a story of emotions, because that's a detail that we haven't included so far in the way we talk about technology. And since we want to manage knowledge and we want to manage information in the world that we live in, I am a very, very avid supporter of the idea that we need to include emotions in that recipe. Because in the end, or in the beginning, emotions are the building blocks. So think that we have these medium-lasting, let's say, emotions that we live with. Think of how a good news in the morning influences your mood for the rest of the day. You go about with your chores, you do your thing, and you have this boost of energy because you found something nice in the morning. Or maybe you have this feeling of uncertainty related to your family, or maybe to your business, or some aspect of your life. And you go about in your day with this draining feeling that's either in the back of your mind or in your chest. You carry this on with you. In comparison, we also have long-lasting feelings. These are emotions that become, I would dare to say, old. Think of the love that you have for your parents. Think of the admiration that you have for your mentors, or the trust that you feel for that person that's always there for you whenever you need their support. And at the other end of the spectrum, we also have fleeting emotions, just like a spark of fascination when you see someone crossing, a stranger person to you, crossing the lobby, and you're asking, who is that person? Or maybe you get startled where you're in traffic and someone next to you suddenly honks the horn of their car, and you're thinking, did you really have to do that right now? Or that pleasure that you have when you drink your coffee the way you like it, in your intimacy and subjectivity, just you with yourself. Whatever we talk about in our work, our businesses, and our families, this filter of emotion, the effect that we have when we relate to the world, is, I dare to say, the most important. I would be courageous and say that we are not rational actors. We do not make rational choices. The emotions are those that set us up and prime us when we work with data and with the people around us. And that is why we decided, because we understood how important it is, to include emotion in the way we process text and in the way we store data, work with it, and ask the computer to give us an output so that we can better understand what happens in the world. This is how we took on a classic method from social psychology, which is called the social circumplex of affect that Andrei referenced. What is this? Given its name, the name itself, circumplex, this is a circle that is drawn on two axes, like a Cartesian simple mathematical graphic. One axis is the arousal, and the other one is valence. I will be brief and short with the technicalities of this method, but I want you to understand how it functions. So arousal shows us how intense or less intense an emotion is, because you can just navigate an emotion that you feel with mellow energy, or you can be really there, like really feeling the emotion in the situation that you're in. And valence on the other side. Valence is how positive or negative, on a spectrum, of course, that emotion is. When you assess an emotion on these two variables, something amazing happens. You see that emotions are not linear. We never change an emotional state just like this. Now I'm angry and now I'm happy. We never do that. It's a flux that we go through. And in that flux, even if it's milliseconds that we do not detect, we have steps, little steps, gradients of emotion that we go through. And the circumplex of affect that we use in Decision Point is able to capture exactly that. The original methodology was developed by a social psychologist, James Russell, and what he did in the beginning was that he asked a group of volunteers, I think it was about 28 people, not much. He gave them a list of words that denoted emotions, like anger, or love, or happiness, so on and so forth, and asked these people to place them on the circle, on these two axes that I just described. When Russell collected the data, something fascinating happened in his observations. He saw that with almost no difference, these people placed the emotions on the same points on the graph. And those points, in the end, actually described a circle around the two axes. And this is how the circumplex of affect was born. How we contribute to the heritage of social psychology by employing this tool in our machine learning, data analytics, and artificial intelligence ecosystem, described and constructed on C+8 as Hardy presented. Well, we take the circumplex and we push it forward several steps, and we redefine segments. We call them segments, just a geometric concept. We work with 8 variables that describe emotions, 8 main variables, and then we break them down to a very fine-grained ontology, we call it. And these emotions are anticipation, happiness, irritation, annoyance, apprehension, pensiveness, surprise, and acceptance. There's sufficient knowledge to know that these are basic emotions that we can rely on when we study text. And then, after we define this, we develop computational linguistics algorithms that process text, because even though I spoke to you and I invited you to think about your own emotions, the text that we create in media, in social media, in newspapers, in literature, so on and so forth, are imbued with our own emotions. These texts are our mirrors. So we want to exploit the affective content of this text to find out more about the world, like the example with the driving license in the neighboring country. But this information is not valuable in itself unless we place it in a context. And how we extract the context from the text that we analyze? With decision point indicators that we then correlate with the emotions that we extract with our computational linguistics algorithms. And I call Andrei back to speak to you about these indicators in decision point around the social circumplex. Thank you.
Good. So I'm a practical guy. I love seeing examples. Let's see. I propose going through Decision Point. This is a new version of Decision Point. And what I like to explain to you are all the indicators, all the elements that you may use in order to take better decisions, as I said previously. After you manage to log in, you'll get to this screen, which is simple, intuitive. You just enter your term search. Yeah. For example, let's click on it, and let's search for a company. For the sake of this example, let's go with Tesla. It's trending right now. And this is the new dashboard for Decision Point. You can see that it contains a lot of elements. I will help you go through all of them. So, first of all, on the right-hand side, you can see that Decision Point has multiple views. You can see that at the moment we are in the beginner mode. You can see the advanced mode, the pro mode, and also the custom mode. I'd also like to show you that everything that is being searched for at the moment is time-bounded. So you can see the dates up above. Okay, so everything that you see here in terms of indicators are calculated based on the timeline. Okay, so let's go through the mini dashboard, which you can see on the right-hand side. You can see the name of the company, you can see the sector, you can see the industry, when was founded, you can also see the country, the CEO, and also the website. And now let's go to the indicators. You can see the momentum indicator. I'm sure you've seen before. There are multiple events which happen in the media and, of course, are published, which determine the momentum of the company. It can go through a downtrend, or it can go on an uptrend. This is exactly what momentum is. Probably, right now, for Tesla, something bad happened, or something like a news has erupted, let's say, and now the momentum is going downwards. This is a great indicator to see whether an event which is relevant happened, which can bring the price of the company down. Then you can also see the marketing presence, which simply calculates the number of articles, news, and so on, which are being published about the company. The social circumflex, I will not go into details. I heard Adela speaking about it, so I'm sure you already understood everything. I'll jump right to the social indicators. Let's go one by one. I'll just briefly tell you about them, and then we can jump to advanced mode. The investment risk. As you know, on the stock exchange, there are some risks involved. You can see here the percentage of this whole risk. Of course, being a growth stock, Tesla is in a position in which, of course, it's risky, because we don't know exactly whether the price will go up or down. It's prone to high volatility. Then we have the company value, which I think is really important. The company value calculates basically where the price is and what we estimate it would be. You can see that the company valuation can be overvaluated, which means that the price on the stock exchange is bigger than what we believe it's worth, but it can also be underrated, which means that we believe that the value of the company should be higher. So that is at the moment calculated. Then we can see the general opinion, which takes into account all the news that have been published regarding Tesla in this time interval, and determines whether the opinion of the public and of the media is oriented to bad or to good. Like, is it a general opinion which brings Tesla under the spotlight in a good way or in a bad way? Then you can also see the company power. This is regarding the segment in which they operate. So it means that in the automobile sector, they have a competitive advantage. They have shown the possibility of growth, and they have shown that they can produce in mass. It's not just a proof of concept. They managed to push and build, let's say, a little empire. So they clearly showed some domination in this field. Also in the EV sector, like it's a mini sector of the automobile, let's say, category. Then the company trust. This is regarding the perception of the world in terms of trustworthiness. Did they deliver things on time? Did they promise and then delivered, or did they not? And you can see the percentage is quite big in this case. And you can also see the price gap. Decision Point allows you to also see a price prediction for the end of the stock market for the following day. The price gap shows you whether this is an existing difference or no. So, for example, if we predict that the price is, let's see, higher than it actually closed, then the gap can look like this, like it's a 30% gap. This is normal because decision point at the moment takes into account all the social aspects. It does not take into account all the technical and fundamental analysis that is required when taking those kind of decisions. Again, this is an innovative, let's say, product which takes into account a lot of social elements. Then you can see the social chart, which is distributed over a period of time, and also the price chart. You can see our prediction in the yellow color, and also the real price in blue. Let's go to the advanced tab, because this is where things get more interesting. So when moving to the advanced tab, you can see quite the same things at the right-hand side, but there are two new indicators which just appeared. You can see the equilibrium indicator, which shows whether the company is prone to volatility to, let's say, hard crosses between lows and highs. So the stock can be really volatile. Then you can also see the political influence, whether the company is involved in political decisions or not. I'm sure you've all seen this before. A lot of CEOs from big companies have a tendency to join the board for the government or for the president. This is exactly an indicator that shows you that, how much they're involved in this area also. The social circumflex on the right, clear and bright. I'll go to the business indicators mini dashboard. You can see the company style, the company type, business behavior, and organization model. This will offer you the opportunity to better understand what type of business this actually is. You can see that the style can be defensive or offensive. In terms of, let's say, communication to the external world. You can see the company type, like, do they take a lot of time to take decisions? Are they really strategic in their plan? Do they deliver, let's say, a 5-term plan and they actually deliver on time on every milestone? Or are they aggressive? Do they pivot really fast and they move, let's say, with the momentum? Then the business behavior. Does the business operate globally? Because if they do, they clearly show the fact that they have managed to adapt to multiple, let's say, political influences. They managed to exactly see how to adapt to these changing circumstances. And then the organization model, which can be standard or flexible, whether they're up to, let's say, a lot of software updates, a lot of car updates, and so on. So in this case, you can see that Tesla is really flexible because, again, they tend to upgrade stuff quite often. If we scroll down, you can see a lot of new indicators, the marketing indicators, which shows how good the company is performing from a marketing perspective. The marketing presence, I think it's simple. How big is the presence in the media? Have they managed to publish a lot of stuff about the company? Then the general opinion, I've mentioned this before. The marketing core persons, core company, and core products show basically how much has been written about the persons behind the company itself, and the products of the company. Because again, through market strategies, those can be addressed separately. And that's why each of the indicators show different percentages. Then we have the emotional indicators, which I think they're really awesome because they show how the world is perceiving the company. And you can see the company motivation. Is there a clear need in the market for the products and services they offer? It looks like they do, and they also do, let's say, fulfill the promises and fulfill the need of the market for EV vehicles, for updates, software, and so on, full self-driving, and so on. So this kind of indicator kind of says, okay, there's some innovation going on, and there's a motivation being fulfilled. Then you can see the company trust. Again, I've talked about it. Is the company trustworthy through their actions and what they publish? The company confidence, this is really interesting because the confidence, it's about whether they believe they can do it or not. And you can see that the confidence is really high based on the analysis of what they publish, what, for example, Elon Musk publishes on Twitter and so on. The company reputation, are they known for, let's say, good design? Are they known for good services and so on? Apparently, there's some gap there, so it's only 60%, which may mean, for example, that maybe the quality of the manufacturing of the cars is not yet to the highest standards. And then, of course, we have the company innovation. Are they doing like innovative stuff for the company, or they just go on the classical way of let's say, building cars. The emotional chart simply spreads out all the emotional indicators on a range of time, and if we were to scroll down a bit, you can also see the risk indicators. Again, you can see the company risk. How risky is the investment? Then the company conflict. Are they, let's say, conflictual? Are there any, let's say, active conflicts between Tesla and other companies, such as audits or something? It seems like there is a little bit of tension there. You can also see the social indicators. The company status, again, is regarding the how well it's perceived by the world. The company power, already talked about it. How clear are they in the specific segments? How strong they are? Then the company performance. They have promised some stuff. It seems that they didn't deliver on time. So maybe that's why there's about 50% on this specific indicator. And then the company thrust. Whenever something big is being published, how much traction do they get? Is the company changing really fast when, let's say, bad news or good news arrives in the media? It seems like yes. So whenever something is informed and published, it seems that the company gets a lot of thrust. Then the company value, I told you. At the moment, Decision Point says that Tesla is underestimated, is undervaluated. And the company predictability. Is it like really easy for them? Or actually, is it easy for us to predict the next step or not? In this case, it's quite difficult because they have a tendency to take decisions really, really smart and on the short term. And then the prediction gap. As I told you before, this takes into account a lot of social elements. All the technical and fundamental elements are being taken care of by some specific elements in the application. The price chart again. The prediction price that I've talked to you about, you can see the price, which we believe it will be an uptrend. You can see the social chart again, which is distributed through the dates. And if we were to scroll just a little bit down, you can also see the momentum and the equilibrium chart. Again, it's a time series, like the indicators are being mapped over some dates so that you can, again, take better decisions and have all the factors coming in whenever you decide to invest. So long story short, this was Decision Point. I will let Adela speak again and take all the conclusions. But thank you very much for your attention.
This is a pretty awesome baby, right? And I'm calling it a baby on purpose because we're nurturing as you would a child. This is what you do with artificial intelligence. You begin teaching it things about the world just as you would teach a baby. And I think this, it's no longer there. But Decision Point, with everything it can do, it's a pretty awesome baby that we're growing now. Honored, Andrei, to work next to you. And I will give you some more insights on why this baby is already awesome, given that it's just crawling, or maybe not even that. In artificial intelligence, when we work with text, what we need to do technologically is to do natural language processing. And so far, for the last, 30, 40 years, the main algorithms or technologies that artificial intelligence brings to the market are things like text summarization or question answering or sentiment analysis that has been mentioned by Heiner in the beginning. In sentiment analysis, what the market currently uses in price prediction or in analyzing companies is a very simple model that assigns polarity like positive, neutral, and negative to the emotions that are detected in text. Very recently, I've been in a working group in which we used 2 or 3 times per day to check in emotionally. We were not allowed to say, I'm okay, or I'm not okay. We had to say how we actually felt. And that was extremely nourishing. You can imagine, place yourself in such a position, and imagine what richness of your own emotions you can discover. This is exactly what we want to do with the circumplex. We don't want it to tell us that it's positive or negative, okay or not okay. We want it to tell us as many emotions as we can exploit with it, detect and exploit. And this is why our contribution with Prisma and CryptoData is within the field of emotion detection with the circumplex. And in emotion detection, we need to use machine learning algorithms and neural nets. And I will invite Felix Negoitza, my colleague, our head of artificial intelligence in CryptoData, to talk to you about how we do AI, ML, and NLP in a more technical approach. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
All right. Thank you. Okay, before Felix gets up here, thank you, Adela. Thank you, Andre. Informative, educational. Our next speaker, the next gentleman, is the head of AI for both CryptoData and for Prisma Analytics. And hopefully he doesn't kill me for butchering his last name, but I'm going to do my best because it's in Romanian. So, ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together and please welcome Felix Negoitza. All right, did I get that right? Where's Felix at? Oh, my man. Okay. Great to have you. Great to have you. All right, super.
You did not butcher my name at all. Thank you. That was great. I love that. Thank you all for joining us at this amazing event today. Thank you so much, Dr. Fofiu and Andrei, for your warm words of introduction. I would also like to take this chance to personally thank Dr. Hardy Schloer for the opportunity to work on such amazing new technology. Now, we are going to be talking about AI in just one moment, but I wanna get a head start on the topic. And before we delve deeper into the subject of AI, I would like to start by taking a minute to talk about data. Because right now we speak about data-driven decisions and big data and data-driven applications. And for any AI and software system, data is of the utmost importance. So in the AI community, we have this saying, garbage in, garbage out, right? So we need to be very careful with how we engineer, extract, transform, and load the data and input it into our systems, because this will dictate the quality of our outputs. Not only that, but we need to bridge the gap to actual knowledge. Data is the base of our information extraction processes, which is how we will organize knowledge. I'm inviting you all to watch a short presentation video about data that our wonderful, amazing team prepared.
Nowadays, everyone has access to countless volumes of raw data that can be processed into actionable knowledge for decision makers. In order to better understand how to use and extract knowledge from unstructured information, we need to answer the following questions. What is data? What is information? And what is knowledge? Data represents information that has been translated into a form that is efficient for movement or processing. Information is stimuli that has meaning in some context for its receiver. It's a set of data in context with relevance to one or more people at a point in time for a period of time. In the hierarchical structure of knowledge, it is widely discussed that knowledge begins as data in some form, where it is then processed or paired with other data to some minimal extent where it becomes information. Information then becomes knowledge when two or more established units of data or information are correlated, making that union dynamic and actionable. Now that we understand what data, information, and knowledge represent, we are ready to take a closer look at the transformational journey of data to actionable knowledge. Consider that data is a seed a farmer plants in a field, in this case, a wheat plant. At this stage, data is a raw material. When properly nurtured, the seed matures to a point that it can be harvested for processing. The farmer harvests what has become of the nurtured seed and takes it to a processing facility. Our data is now information. The harvested wheat plant is processed where it now becomes flour. It is still of minimal value and not consumable for its intended purpose. Thus, it is a better quality of information. The flour is then shipped to a bakery, where it is mixed with other contextual information, ingredients, baked and output as a loaf of bread, where it is now fully consumable. Our data seed has now completed its journey to actionable knowledge.
Awesome. Awesome stuff. Now, I don't know about you, but this video kind of made me hungry a little bit, so I'll try to touch the main points that I wanted to touch on as fast as I possibly can. So, without further ado, I am here to talk to you all about the integration into our project of AI. Now, what is AI? With artificial intelligence, the paradigm for engineering software is changed almost completely. Where before we would have an input and we would struggle to create the perfect algorithm to produce our desired output, we now have with AI the capability to take our inputs and samples of our outputs and let complex mathematical models construct the algorithm for us. By analyzing incredible amounts of data, machine learning models are able to find patterns and similarities in it that human engineers never could. We then take these models and feed new data into them so that they learn and get better and better through a process we call training. There are many machine learning techniques for the most common AI tasks, such as regression, classification, clustering. However, the most researched and popular ones by far are the neural networks. Loosely inspired by the workings of the human brain, such a network is composed of layers of neurons, the main computational units, representing features in our input, which, when associated with weights and activation functions, propagate their values to the next layer, and the process is repeated until we have an output. The number of layers a network has determines its depth, and here comes the excitement about the so-called deep learning. With deep learning, we avoid the point of diminishing returns from traditional ML models and can achieve better performance as the training data set increases in volume, and we can solve a much wider array of problems due to the model's ability to capture increased complexity, which in turn leverages the fact that we currently live in the world of big data. We are also able to achieve faster development times due to automatic feature extraction and feature generation, and it is much better suited for the unstructured, sometimes called messy data that the real world presents us with, such as images, right, or text. So, in a nutshell, through computer vision, natural language processing, predictive modeling, by now these methods are an integral part of almost all modern software systems. From movie recommendations on your favorite media streaming platform, to translating text, to preventing financial fraud, to driving cars, to enabling biometric authentication. AI, contrary to the somewhat apprehensive connotation it has in popular culture, is a powerful tool that allows us to focus on more humane problems. We believe that the future is not a matter of man versus machine, but rather a scenario where man and machine both work together to achieve unprecedented results. And you can see some AI phases represented here at the slide that we're currently showing. So I want to wrap up this discussion with what we're doing in the project per se. So within Edain, we are using state-of-the-art deep neural networks for natural language processing and data forecasting. Now, since 2017, the field of natural language processing, NLP, has seen incredible improvements, and right now is the closest we have ever been to achieving real machine intelligence for textual interpretation. When before algorithms would struggle with the dependencies between words in larger texts, we now have deep neural networks with new architectures based on a mechanism called attention, referred to in NLP as transformers. Nothing to do with the movie with the same name. Powered by the transformer-based architecture, machine learning engineers are now able to capture semantic dependencies between words of a given text, as well as encode and decode meaning. And if that wasn't enough by itself, we are also training a deep convolutional multi-classifier on data meticulously researched by our team to achieve a never-before-seen level of sentiment analysis and emotion detection. Our social and data scientists work closely together to create software capable of labeling over 70 different emotions through AI-powered information retrieval processes. And this is all part of our big data, cloud-native, NLP text parser application. We are also using a combination of deep learning with traditional ML algorithms, word embeddings coming from state-of-the-art transformers, and our own algorithms to add automatic text summarization and keyword extraction into our system. Analyzed textual data is then sent downstream to our other microservices to help provide a corpus of information that our users can leverage in their decision making. So with the development of more and more applications powered by Edain, we will be able to combine more ML models together in a method called ensemble learning that can help us achieve an unsupervised analyzing process and help eliminate as much as possible from human error and human bias. And I've also prepared a chart with the learning returns that we get from our AI models, and I'm obviously available after the event, and I'm happy to discuss more about that later on. But to wrap it up, I am happy to announce that all of these exciting technologies I have just mentioned will be powering our decision point, Prisma indicators, company analyzer, and social circumplex applications starting with the 29th of March. So yeah, really, really exciting stuff. Thank you for having me, and looking forward to hearing from each and every one of you. Thank you.
Hey, good job, buddy. So next up we have, ladies and gentlemen, we will have Konstantinos, oh, he's going to kill me for pronunciation, Boyajatis, on the importance of financial analytic tools for business growth. So Konstantinos, if I could bring you to the stage. Young man, I know you got to be around here somewhere. Where is he? Konstantin, oh, there he is. Get his little run on. Oh, hey, Konstantinos. We're waiting for you up here, brother. Look at that. He's got some glide in his stride. There you go. Come on, my brother.
Thank you, Del. Thank you very much. Hi, everyone. Hi, everyone. Welcome in Dubai, the most exciting city on earth. Please, let's have the presentation. Sorry, it's first time I speak with all of these machines. Yeah. Okay, so as I said, welcome to Dubai, the most exciting city in the world, and thank you for being here today. I am Konstantinos Poyagis. I'm coming from Refinitiv, London Stock Exchange, and I will talk to you today about how we help companies like Prism Analytics and we empower them to reach their full potential. When you leave from this room, I want you just to remember, data is just the beginning. And this is what was all about all the presentations until now. Data is just the beginning. The way that we interpret it and the way that we take smart decisions is more important. And thank you, Felix, for this video. It was amazing how to explain how data can become actual knowledge and then we can use them. So who we are, who is Refinitiv? Refinitiv, it comes from Reuters. Reuters News, you all have heard from. Then becomes Thomson Reuters, and then Refinitiv, and then London Stock Exchange. I am proud to say that we are the first fintech that we have 169 years of legacy since 1850s when pigeons carried information about the stock market and how we evolved during these years and through the century. We evolved the financial market, and eventually we helped to increase this industry. So now I'm proud to say that we are part of London Stock Exchange. In 2021, London Stock Exchange acquired Refinitiv with $27 billion. And this made us a true leader in the financial industry. And here is important to say that Prism Analytics, it's with us. We provide them all the financial data that Edain spoke earlier today about the decision point, and our history, of course, will help you. All this legacy that we have will help you to put the base for this evolvement and the better future. So, but we are here to listen our customers. We are here to listen our customers and, of course, to understand what is the challenges for the future. And as you all understood from these presentations, data and cloud and machine learning and AI is the biggest challenges that nowadays the world has to fight with. And London Stock Exchange is putting $1 billion of investment for the next 3 years in order to commit for a long-term infrastructure. And this will help all of these businesses that they are consuming all our data in order to have better data. As Felix said, if you put garbage in, you will have garbage out. So we are here to make sure that you guys have the best data out there and you can perform the best decisions through your applications. A lot of data through our platforms, and of course, a lot of data in our platform, and we're here to support all the flows from trading venues, risk, and compliance. All of these are put together in order to come to the Refinitiv data platform, which is this one. The Refinitiv data platform enables all the users, not only users, and we have the data sets from all of these proprietary data, the public data, the exchange sets, and all the raw data that we have in our databases to nurture them and eventually to give it to our clients in a better form so that they can take decisions. And this is where we have invested in the new Refinitiv Workspace platform, which is the front end, which is where humans, they can actually extract information. And this is the Refinitiv Workspace that actually decision point will be launched in an app here in Refinitiv Workspace where thousands of users they can have access to, and their B2B expansion can happen here. Of course, we are an open platform that we have many coders, and this is where, again, Prism Analytics falls into our data, and they can consume it in order to get valuable insights. But I want to move on a bit from the big data and come into the partnerships and the partnerships, and this is what we did with Prism Analytics. 3 years ago, the guys came to our offices and we discussed about the future of their ideas. So this 3 years ago was just an idea, and now we have a fully application inside Refinitiv Workspace where actual users, actual people from the financial industry, asset management, wealth management advisors, and all of these people, they can use this data in a form that they can extract valuable insights. So thank you very much, Prism Analytics, for partnering with us, and we are here to support you. Together, we will grow stronger, and please don't hesitate to contact me, all of you, in order to help you if you have any other business idea. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, everyone.
All right, check. Testing. Is this working? Testing, testing. Okay, we're good. All right, our next guest, ladies and gentlemen, our next guest, great speaker, the man with the plan, the man in charge. He needs no introduction in the civilized world. Ladies and gentlemen, CEO of Crypto Data, Ovidiu Toma. Where's Ovidiu Toma? Where's Ovidiu? Where's the man? Oh, here he comes.
Thank you, Howard. Hello, good evening. I'm Ovidiu Toma. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Crypto Data Tech. So actually, before I start, I would love to have a movie presenting a few things. And then I come back and I do my speech. Thanks. Good evening again. Crypto Data. We are a Romanian company, founded as a dream. At that time, it was just a dream, back in 2012, in Romania. At the first, we started our company as a mining data center for, at the time, indeed, cryptocurrencies. That was 2012. But shortly, we understood blockchain technology is not about only a financial application. Blockchain technology is way, way bigger, more ambitious than a single application in a single field of activity. So this is how, back in 2015, we understood we have to adapt to the market needs and we have to bring technology one step further. 2015, we had, in Romania, developed the largest data center for blockchain research and development. Shortly, I'll get this one. Shortly after, Back in 2017, we developed the world's first data transmission protocol using blockchain technology. It is called the VOBP, and we at CryptoData introduced it in the market. What else do we do as of now? We do custom blockchain-based security, cybersecurity-oriented projects, research and development into the blockchain technology, big data and IoT. And here we have to thank Mr. Hardy Schleur, we have to thank Mr. Heinel Pollard and Prisma Analytics for having the opportunity to work in this ambitious project, in the C+8 project. What else do we do? Encrypted cybersecurity devices, hardware, software, and operating system at the same time. Startup acquisition, because of course, not all the time you can do everything on your own. So you have to understand potential, you have to see potential in the small startups, and of course, co-work with them. If not, you get to engage them in your team. So this is what we've done. And this is how we got, in close to 10 years of activity, to expand our field of interest, our field of development in so many different fields of activity. What else do we do? Hardware, the e-keys, the hardware, the bus, all of them is custom-built hardware, software, operating system, fully researched and developed by us at CryptoData, by our team. VOBP, our encrypted communication data transmission patent. Encrypted apps, of course, security and cybersecurity driven. The CryptoData operating system, indeed, we consider it is not enough to run a secured application actually in a non-secured environment. So that's how we got to build a custom-built operating system, mostly from scratch. Because sometimes those multimedia operating systems you can have in the market, or you already know from the market, are not secured enough, giving you features of multimedia and not so security/privacy oriented. So indeed, we got to build our CryptoData operating system, both for mobile devices and for computer devices, for laptops and physical computers. What else do we do? Tinker. Tinker is our cybersecurity education e-learning platform. Indeed, during the pandemic, we considered secure communication is in need. How can we use secure communication? Privacy. We can do it in various fields of activity, out of which one of them is education. Because, of course, during pandemic, we've noticed there's a huge fast-forward digitalization of the educational process. But not all the time, those who perform the education pay attention to the security/privacy of the users. So that's how we got 100% secured Tinker educational platform under our research and development department. What else do we do? Of course, one of the largest, if not the largest project we are involved as of now is the partnership between CryptoData and Prisma Analytics to build the Edain project. The Edain project, which actually drives the C+8 technology, the C+8 based apps to the future. The Edain project actually is the way of bringing so much technology that's been presented by the speakers today into a real, comprehensive, and tangible technology accessible for the users, for the mass users in the market. Because Mr. Schleur had a dream when he started to build the C+8 technology, and that was more than 10 years ago. And the dream of Mr. Schleur is to have a mainstream technology in the market. So indeed, I know sometimes technology and technological speeches actually might be a little bit boring, but let's not forget that the main driver into the Edain project is the technology. The aforementioned technology by the speakers today and by the speakers that are about to come after me. Energy. Indeed, we're as well involved in some energy projects of power bank sharing as a concept, as a patent of power bank sharing, both in handheld devices and as well in a close future in the automotive industry. We're working on it, we're under research and development, applying patents, working for a new concept of smart energy, smart power bank sharing, whether we're talking about handheld devices, automotive, or any other industry in the world. It's better to share than to manufacture on a daily basis. It's better to reuse than to rebuild and, of course, pollute and use all the resources of the world. Let's see what else we do. Actually, the core values at CryptoData, ISSSE, interoperability, because indeed, once you have such a portfolio of projects, such a great portfolio actually of projects, devices, hardware, software, you need to consider interoperability. So actually, the entire universe I just presented you is actually interoperable. At CryptoData, we consider every single department, every single direction we're working in should be interoperable. Security. Of course, we started, and our core value at CryptoData is cybersecurity, privacy and cybersecurity, because actually, this is maybe the most important thing when we're talking about digital stuff. Computers, IT, software, hardware, Internet of Things, and everything. It's all about security, and nowadays we're living in an age when everything goes digital. Most likely, 20 years ago, you would have never dreamt of reading the newspaper on a handheld screen. Everybody was thinking of a newspaper like a printed paper. As of now, newspapers go digital. Vehicles, they go digital. Communication goes 100% digital. School, teaching, education, and actually all industries are going digital. But this fast-forward digitalization is actually keeping up with the security, with the privacy, with the user's needs. Actually, I consider we at CryptoData improved a lot this world. We improved a lot the cybersecurity and the security tools given to the users for the aforementioned industries. Singularity, simplicity, education. Indeed, education is one of the most important and one of the most important verticals for us at CryptoData. Why? Because it's not enough to create technology as long as you don't educate the users, as long as you don't properly present it to the users, and actually get users to better understand tools, machines, computers, software. So actually, education is a big chunk of the IT business, indeed. No? This one. Blockchain. I mentioned about blockchain a few times in my speech, but actually, who is this blockchain? What is blockchain? Because most likely, the users, the audience tonight, everybody heard of blockchain, but nobody can actually define what blockchain is. Some users might confuse blockchain with cryptocurrencies, which is completely false. It is not the case. Blockchain is a technology. Blockchain is a carrier technology, is a network, it's a ledger. Blockchain is a new technology that can be applicated in various fields of activity. Not only financial applications, such as cryptocurrencies. Actually, indeed, the first application of blockchain in the modern world was indeed the cryptocurrencies, because they came together. But actually, in 2015, we understood blockchain is a lot more than a financial, decentralized way of, or decentralization, actually, of a financial model. Blockchain is a technology. It's a distributed technology, so that means decentralized, unlike regular, let's say, databases, okay? For example, we have a database on a server. If the server is corrupted, hacked, it disappears. Actually, there's no access anymore to that database. You lose access and you lose control to the data, or you lose connectivity. Blockchain is about decentralization. So actually, once you have a lot more nodes, so you have a distributed ledger over, let's say, a number of X nodes. If one of the nodes fails, still the others are up and running. You can still access. The network can still, and the ledger can continue stored, can continue encrypt and decrypt the process. So actually, you no longer lose the access to a blockchain network unless you lose absolutely all nodes, all machines in the network. But when we're talking about a blockchain, a success blockchain network, we're talking about tens of millions of devices, of machines generating these nodes. So unless you shut down so many machines, you will never be able to corrupt, to stop, to lose access to a blockchain network. So as I mentioned, blockchain is a technology, cryptocurrencies are financial application. But how else can we use blockchain? Nowadays, we at CryptoData, back in 2015, we understood we can use blockchain in encrypting and decrypting data transfer, data transmission between two or more devices. So actually, that is a complete new approach, a complete new application of a blockchain technology into the real life, into the real application. What else can we do? Sorry? What else can we do using blockchain technology? Transport management. So, just to come back a little bit, let's not forget one of the most important attributes of blockchain, which is immutability. That means once the data is written in a ledger, once the data is inserted into a blockchain network, you're no longer able to backdate, modify the data. You're no longer able to corrupt the data in a ledger. Having the main advantage of distributed ledger and immutability, you can have as many industries applying blockchain technology as you want. For example, transport management, communication system, medical system, security system, the energy sector. And that's not all. Consider, for example, a project that's been introduced to the market like 2 years ago of shipping containers, generating and tracking the shipping containers over blockchain. That means once a shipping container or parcel is labeled using blockchain technology, you can no longer change the destination, you can no longer corrupt, you can no longer hijack a parcel, a container, or so. So actually, blockchain is a technology that you can actually apply in various fields of activity, if not virtually everything you might think of. Going back to a blockchain-based project, whether we're talking about a cryptocurrency or any other actual blockchain-related project, what is the core verticals? What is the main, let's say, attributes? When you're actually looking at a project, when you're about to evaluate a project, when you're about to consider whether a project is viable or not. Because, of course, as you might know, whenever a new technology is brought in the market, there is those hard-working companies and guys developing amazing, amazing software and pieces of hardware, software, and so on. But as well, there is also those badly intended who misuse the technology for different other badly intended purposes. So in the end of the day, how do I, as a user, evaluate a project? How do I look at a project? Where do I look at a project to make an opinion whether it's feasible or not over a long period, whether it makes sense or not over a long period? First of all, trust. Who is the developer in terms of trustworthiness, in terms of background, in terms of achievements, technological achievements by that time? Is it a trustworthy developer or not? Innovation. Is the project I'm looking at an innovative thing? Does it really bring utility to the market? Does it really bring utility to the real lives? Performance. Okay, it's not enough to have trust, innovation, and utility, as long as you don't perform properly. Because performance, as you might know, is the most important attribute nowadays. It's for nothing to have a software which is not performing properly. Community. Who is the community engaged within the project? Who is the community engaged within the company developing the project? That's also a very important attribute. And let's not forget the reputation of the project, the team, the developers itself. Everything is vital to have a successful blockchain-based project. And all these attributes, they build what we call the value. They give value to a project. Indeed, value in cryptocurrencies, in market-traded assets, value is given by the demand and the offer. Because actually that happens in the stocks market, it happens in the art market, in the cryptocurrency market, in any financial, non-financial market. Value is given actually by the demand and offer. So what generates demand? Exactly those aforementioned attributes. They generate demand. Because once you have a valuable project, of course you generate demand in the market. As long as you have demand, then the offer can appear. In our opinion, at CryptoData, at Prisma Analytics, at Edain, value should be first delivered to the users and later generating the offer, actually. That's why the structure of the event today was explaining the structure of our software, AI, machine learning, and actually explaining the entire technology behind the Edain project. The most important thing is the community, actually. So once we have the community engaged to the technology, once we present the technology to community, once we prove, and we've proven, the technology really works for the community and for the users, then we generate the offer. And I will tell you in the next slide what I mean by that. As a premiere tonight, as my colleagues Adela and Andrei previously presented, the Decision Point app. We thought of Decision Point is an amazing app running on an amazing technology, which is called the C+8 actually. But why do we offer the Decision Point only to those quants, to those financial traders in the stocks market? Because as of now, whether we like it or not, whether we're engaged or not, the crypto community, the crypto assets, whether we're talking about cryptocurrencies, NFTs, DeFi, and all of them, actually all these things exist. They are in fashion, they have huge market trading, and they have huge community. So why don't we get the Prisma Analytics Decision Point based on the Knowledge Vault and the C+8 technology, and create a version as well for those crypto traders, for those guys trading cryptocurrencies, blockchain-based assets, NFTs, and so on. Why do we limit ourselves actually just to corporates? Because these assets exist whether we want to or not. Sometimes these assets, these NFTs, get sold higher than the most expensive supercar in the world. We've all seen NFTs being sold for, or being sold in an auction for over $10 million. So indeed, there is a market. Of course, if there is a market and if the market demands it, once we have all the tools we need, once we have all the technology we need, why don't we give our users actually the opportunity to use the Decision Point as a separate app, indeed, for these blockchain-based speculative assets? So this is what we do. Actually, by 29th of March, as another utility, as another application of the Edain project, we'll have the Decision Point for blockchain-based assets. Not only cryptocurrency, but blockchain-based assets. Here should have been a movie, so I'll go back. It is called Hider, and I will continue presenting actually a project, a product, a hardware, software developed by us at Crypto Data within the Edain infrastructure, within the Edain ecosystem. So talking about security, talking about cybersecurity and privacy, actually we at CryptoData identified a huge market demand in privacy, cybersecurity, and actually protecting the users on a day-by-day needs. Why do I say that? Privacy, security, and encryption. Is it enough? Is it enough if I have privacy, security, and encryption with me when I go out in the market, when I go in a holiday with my family? No, it isn't. It's simply not. Why do I say that? Back in 2018, with CryptoData, we launched in the market the world's first blockchain-based architecture smartphone. We built it from scratch in Romania. A hardware, a software, an operating system, and infrastructure for communication. But at the moment you have a secured environment in your pocket, actually at that time, we thought of security-oriented users, security-driven users are looking for privacy and that's all. And indeed, I have to admit, we made a mistake. Even though the users consider and know they need to be protected, they need to be private and secured. You need to protect yourself from the viruses, the phishing, spywares, malwares, and so on. But is it enough if you lose the multimedia side of your day-by-day life on your handheld device? Imagine a life having your smartphone in your pocket now, quitting your smartphones, and having in your pocket a smartphone without social media, without multimedia, games, financial apps, and so on. Actually, you wouldn't quit your regular smartphone, even though you know it is not secured enough, even though you know every single app you might have installed on it might spy on you. And we all know plenty of cases in the market where the apps spied on the customers and used unauthorized collected information, data, for malicious purposes. So, having this said, with CryptoData, defined the security-driven devices as a special purpose handheld device. But that's not enough. Still, the users seeking for privacy but losing multimedia features are not exactly in the same zip code. Still, the users are not willing to quit their multimedia lives just for privacy. Even though sometimes you say, okay, yeah, a virus might steal my email. Okay, it's not that bad. What can the hacker see? They can see I bought my tires for $200. It's not about that. You become a subject in a network of unauthorized data collection. Your privacy is simply violated. So that's simply not what you should expect. So having understood from our previous, actually wrong approach of a handheld dedicated for privacy but without multimedia features, we've been working for the past 2 years to develop a smarter, a faster, a more amazing device than the previous one. A device incorporating multimedia and privacy security-driven features at the same time. Have you achieved it? Yes. It's called Edain. Actually, one smartphone, two environments. It's a cool way of considering privacy and multimedia in the same pocket, in the same device. Indeed, privacy and multimedia can now go together, can now co-work. You should not quit your multimedia life for privacy, or you should not lose your privacy life for multimedia. You can have them both at the same time. Plenty of features, but one of the most amazing features is actually switching between privacy and multimedia. You can now get to switch, you can now get to choose whether you want to run private or you want to run multimedia, whether you want to play games or you want to go private. It is all in the same handheld device. Let's take a look on a diagram. I like this diagram, and actually, to be honest, a few days ago, when I built my presentation, I kept thinking of this diagram and I wanted especially to have it here. Why? Let's take this, let's call it a pentagon. It's an octagon, a pentagon if you look at the other way. Gaming, social media, third-party apps. What is this? This is the multimedia side of a device, whether we're speaking about a handheld device, a smartphone, or a computer. Encryption, privacy, security. Those are the features for privacy. Do the normal smartphones fit in both categories at the same time? Not really. So, if you look at the red contour, if we look at this one, this is actually the regular smartphone you have right now in your pockets. It is multimedia oriented, it is social media, gaming, third-party apps oriented, but indeed it is not security, privacy, encryption oriented. So actually, a regular smartphone does probably 10% encryption, 12% privacy, security, max 15, max in the worst case scenario, or in the best case scenario actually, even though sometimes privacy is being claimed by the developers. But actually they're looking at privacy from a different perspective, from the perspective of the multimedia developers. Social media, 100%, of course. If you have a regular smartphone in your pocket, you can go plenty of social media. That's an amazing tool for it. Gaming, third-party apps, and so on. Impulse, the previous device, is encrypted privacy security. Zero social media, zero gaming, and a few third-party apps that we consider safe at that time. But still, it is actually not so comfortable to have it. So actually, if you look at both of them and if you sum them up, you end up with either. If you sum up the features of a regular smartphone and of the previous security, encryption, privacy-oriented smartphone, you can get either 100% encryption, 100% privacy, security 95. Indeed, and this 5% is actually a question mark, whether a trusted developer of a third-party app might become untrusted later, whether a reputable corporate that installed the app in your phone might become suspect later for collecting unauthorized data from that app itself. So not from the entire environment, but once you have an app developed by X in your phone, that app might report unauthorized to the developer of itself unauthorized data. So that's why we consider 5% security, or security loss is not a loss, a downgrade. It is more than fair, whether you're talking about a both secured and multimedia device at the same time. Social media, gaming, third-party apps, I will go forward. Performance and design. We fitted inside the latest technology for chipsets, for CPU, GPU, the fastest memory available as of now in the market. One of the best CC cameras available in the market, supplied by Sony. One of the largest batteries you've seen in a regular smartphone. That's 5,300 milliamps, which is one of the largest battery packs in a very, 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 very slim device. What else? A very large display, artificial intelligence, face unlock, and of course, first layer of security. So actually the first layer of security is the physical integrity. If I hand you my phone, and can you work with it or not? Even there, we consider using AI software to process facial recognition, so whether you're wearing sunglasses or not, you can still unlock your device. Front camera, 24 megapixel Sony, rear camera 48 with triple lens Sony. So as you already know, the Vault is the centerpiece of our security features. In a Vault, you can get to create identities, you can get to store blockchain-based assets, you can get to change identities, a way of accessing, you get to manage your entire privacy. You get to initiate the device using the Vault. Fast, secure, and convenient. This is actually the three attributes of the Vault. Whisper. As you probably know, and I'm pretty sure, again, 80–90% of our auditorium right now uses already Whisper. Whisper is a secured communication app developed, it's a platform developed by us at Crypto Data for end-to-end dedicated data transmission, whether we're talking about file transfer, video calls, regular calls, messages, emoticons, or everything. It is sent between the users without a middleman, without a third-party server, without relying on a third-party server, unlike the other regular apps you might have right now. So actually, all the apps you're having right now in your smartphones are using a third-party server architecture to communicate. When you're calling your friend, you're actually not calling your friend. You're sending the data transmission to a server, to a third-party server. You have to trust the server is 100% in good faith. And then the server is sending actually the data to your friend. So at the point you're sending a document, you have probably your company accountancy. You're sending it to a friend. Is it just you as a sender and him as a receiver, those who see and have access to it? No. The server has. Whisper has no servers. Whisper uses a blockchain-based architecture. Whisper uses the VOBP we developed at CryptoData over the past years. Whisper is a secured communication platform itself. And of course, it comes integrated or embedded by default in the Hyder device. What else do we develop at CryptoData in regard to our handheld devices? And I asked my colleagues to play a short clip before I continue. So actually, our users are already using the physical hardware private keys we developed. If you remember those nice little triangles made of aluminum wearing a chip for encryption that you use in the Impulse devices or in the bus devices. Those devices are actually a physical hardware tangible private key. So if a software might be corrupted, if a software held private key might be stolen by a badly intended hacker, a hardware one cannot. You cannot replicate, duplicate, steal, or use in bad faith a hardware private key for encryption. So actually this is the centerpiece of our devices. We've been using the hardware private keys for all the devices we built, for all the technology we built. But now the private key is no longer in a shape of a triangle. It's no longer inserted physical in the device. It's no longer in direct contact with the device you're holding in front of you, in your pocket, or so on. Why? Because it is more secure, it is safer, it is faster, a lot higher in terms of cryptographic algorithms, a lot easier to use while you hold it in your pocket without physical contact to your device. So this is the E-key, the E-keys. The E-keys is actually a card running Bluetooth and NFC at the same time, ultra low voltage, connecting to your device, and actually your private keys, your hardware private key, is held in your pocket, in your wallet, in your glove box compartment in your car. So you have a tangible hardware private key on top of the software, a new security layer added both to the Hyder device or as a standalone for any other device in the market. Encrypted communications, secure your assets, protect your identity, or protect your wallet. This is actually some of the features the E-keys bring in your hands. Should I have clicked there? So, Hyder, it's an amazing tool. But let's go a little bit back to our Edain ecosystem, because it will all make sense a little bit later. I mean, the technology, the joint of the technology, of the hardware technology and the software technology into the Edain project. Edain is a AI, big data, technology, artificial intelligence driven project. Hardy Schleur and Mr. Heiner Pollard started years ago, building, developing, creating patents, giving value to a set of technology and a portfolio of applications around the technology, around the C++ technology, to bring it available to the users. But nowadays, we identified a main issue into the software distribution, into the software sales of the world. And why do I say that? Most likely every one of you, at a point in life, called a friend, hello, I need a license key for my Microsoft Windows, for my Office, for my, I don't want to name a company. And we all have that friend who hands out over SMS, over email, a license key to install our Windows onto our computers. Is it genuine? Of course it's not. We haven't paid for it. Our friend gave it to all his family and to all his friends. So actually this is a main problem in the licensing industry of the software. From generating the license keys, imagine at that factory, at Microsoft factory, at Adobe factory, there is somebody who generates some labels with a license key, then a scratch card on top, and they get to sell them. How do they sell them? Over distribution chains, actually. Distribution chains in every country looks different. Pricing policy in every country is different. Taxation, distribution, fairness of the market. None of them are even. None of them are unique as a whole worldwide policy. Then validating the license key. We all know if our friend gave the license key to all his other friends, it means validating the license key is actually not working properly as it was meant to do. Having this problem identified in the market, we, Prisma Analytics and Crypto Data team, we decided to join forces a long time ago and create a unique way of generating, storing, trading, distribution, and validating the license keys. And of course, we're in the 21st century, and you no longer want to do it on a paper. So, having the previous attributes of the blockchain technology, having said that the blockchain technology is immutable, you can no longer access or modify, actually you cannot access to modify old data. You cannot corrupt the ledger. You cannot generate inflation. Once you generate something over blockchain, it is there forever, and you can no longer duplicate, erase, modify, or add. You cannot add something more on a certain defined number, on a certain defined network as a total supply. So you cannot generate inflation. So having this said, we identified an amazing idea, an amazing architecture of generating, distributing, storing, and validating the license keys. And that is over a blockchain network. So why we don't generate the blockchain, the keys, license keys over a blockchain? You trade them over a blockchain, you store them over a blockchain, and you validate to ensure uniqueness over a blockchain network. So out of a sudden, you generate a new market niche. You generate a new opportunity. Not only for us, not only for our collection of software, for our collection of Prisma Analytics developed C++ based apps, but you generate an entire new market for the tradable license keys. Thank you very much for the moment. See you later.
Ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, the next speaker, our next guest, will be the CEO of Prisma Analytics. Ladies and gentlemen, please, warm round of applause for Sebastian Poch. Where are you, Sebastian? I know you're around here somewhere.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our Edain event. My name is Sebastian Poch, and before I start with my session here, I want to give you a little insight into how I feel today. So, to be honest, Yeah, I'm 36 years old. I'm used to be this kind of nerdy guy who did business in consulting. So I was this guy sitting in the cellar doing Excel spreadsheets and stuff like that. So therefore, it's my first time on stage, and it feels funny. It feels funny to be on such a big stage. And to be honest, it's like my hands are shaking, my body is like, I can feel my heart in this area of my body. But anyways, the most funny thing is, I have 2 speeches on that stage. So there's this one speech, which is like an academical speech about knowledge. That's basically what I was supposed to do. However, I did this other speech here that explains, from a more personal perspective, why I'm here today, why I work for this company, and why I, from the bottom of my heart, think that it makes total sense for all of you to join this gigantic, incredibly cool, and incredibly visionary project. So it started all in 2017, when I met Dr. Heiner Pollard. It was in his kitchen on a private party, to be honest. And he introduced me to all his like venture capital products that he was doing at that time, and convinced me of starting to consult him. So I just had left consulting. I worked for Deloitte before, therefore Accenture. So I just left the professional consulting sphere in order to do something really new. I started consulting business. And so Heiner asked me to work for him. And after a couple of projects where I did this spreadsheet calculation stuff, I've been sent over to Bucharest to meet this gentleman here, Dr. Hardy Schlör. I'm really, really thankful, Hardy, that you lit my brain on fire. And Heiner, that you gave me the opportunity. But the reason why we stand here today, well, of course, it's those 2 guys, a little bit me, but the real reason is our team. So thank you guys. Thank you guys from Prism Analytics, from Crypto Data, and from Potempo Group. You're an amazing team, and without you, I would never stay on that stage. So thank you. But also thank you to our guests that are supporting us and that are listening to us in order to figure out whether they want to hop on that train, on that journey towards our common goal. And that's basically what I want to talk about now. Why is it so important to be here today? Well, first of all, let's define the goal of our journey, as every journey needs to be defined, needs to have like a starting point. So the starting point of that journey is how we learn, how we develop. So every human being, once growing up, starts to gather information, data, so to say, through its senses. And then, at some point, it starts to process that into knowledge. I know how it is very facilitated, but I'm this high-level business guy. So, why is that important? Well, it's important because without the knowledge that we generate through learning, through processing our personal information, we would never evolve in the decisions that we make. And that actually, then in the end, makes us to the beings that we are, right? It's this constant learning. And once we learned a lot, we generate knowledge that leads us to the capability of doing good decisions. And those decisions are incremental when it comes to our own evolution. But not only our own evolution, but also to the evolution of our companies, of our business, of our families, of our cities, of our states, of our countries, and of the world, ultimately. So, if the decision-making is so important for all of us, it all comes down to the data and to aggregating it. You can see that if you have a look at the global annual spending of research. So the global GDP is about 85 trillion US dollars, that's a lot of zeros, and we spend about 1.5%, which is a fortune, it's like $1.27 trillion, on doing research. Why we do that? Well, as I explained before, we do that because it is so incredibly fundamental for our development, for evolving as businesses and also as a human race in the end. So, in order to evolve, we need knowledge. But the knowledge costs us a lot of money, as we just heard. So, imagine how much our development could be boosted if we would reduce, let's say, the cost of research, which I call the cost of learning. Imagine you could lower it by, let's say, 10, let's say 20, or even 70%. Think about what that would bring to the global ecosystem as an advantage, not only in terms of cost saving, but also in terms of time. So that's basically the nutshell of our vision: to reduce the cost of learning via providing knowledge as a utility at the point of use in a very easy consumptible way. So I've been talking about the why, and I think my colleagues and previous speakers talked a lot about the how, because the how is here. It's Edain. So I kindly ask you to join our journey towards a better and more intelligent world. Thank you very much.